today's video we're going to be talking about when do you actually start building equity. So if you are a homeowner and you're wondering why or how and when you start building equity, then you're in the right place. Hi YouTube family, my name is Sonia. On this channel we talk about everything real estate and finance. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always tuning in. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the family. You actually start building equity, okay? So if you feel like, oh, if I've been paying for a long time and I don't know how my equity is growing, or how much equity do I actually gain during the first few years of me owning a house, or how does this even affect, or what is affecting my equity to grow, then this video is for you, okay? So by the time we end this video, you'll be able to understand when your equity actually starts growing. All right, but we can talk about when it starts growing without actually just explaining what is home equity. So home equity is your home's market value minus what you owe. All right, so it's that simple. Home market value minus what you're owing. So if the home market value for your home is 300k and you're actually owing 250, then your equity is 50. So if you have a house that is 300 and you have been paying down to 50,000 and you currently owe the lender 250, then the 50,000 is what you own as equity for that house, okay? So your home equity actually grows from time to time, okay? As the days go by, your equity grows. So whenever you pay down your mortgage, whenever your home appreciates or increases in value, you're gaining more equity. If you make any home improvements on your home, that could equally help you grow more equity. And whatever the market conditions are, that equally helps you grow your equity. And whatever type of mortgage you are taking or you took will determine your equity. So let's go to the first point, which is going to be what is the moment you start building your equity, okay? You start building equity the very first time you make a payment towards your mortgage. And this might look a little slow during the first few years. Reason being that the first few years, most of the money you pay goes towards your interest, not towards your principal, okay? So you might see it grow very slow during the first year, the second year, the third year. Like I said, most of your payments go towards your interest, then your principal during those first few years, okay? And that is why most homeowners feel like they are not growing equity at all. Like, where is my money going? Yes, that's the reason, because most of the money you're paying is going towards your interest. But keep in mind that even the tiny bit of that money, it could be, I don't know how much you're going to be structuring your mortgage, but let's just assume maybe you pay 1,500, or let's just say 2,000, and maybe 500 is going towards your principal. So even that 500, it looks small, but it's adding up, okay? Imagine that 500 for the rest of the year. So by the time you reach your end report, you are going to see that your principal actually moved. It might just be slow, but yes, because the more your principal goes down, the more equity you're going to be getting. So the second point is why you build equity very little in the first few years. Let's be honest, your first few years payments will feel slow, and that's because mortgages use something called the amortization, okay, which make sure that you pay more toward the cost of borrowing than whatever your principal is. So you're going to first of all give them a lot of money for them borrowing you that money you used to buy your house. So they're not going to let you start paying your interest a lot, except you have the money. I mean, if you have a lot of money and you want to start making extra payments towards your principal the very first month, that is good. But before a lot of people even start that first month, they've spent a lot of money trying to pay down payment, move, renovate. If they didn't buy the home at a very good condition, buy new furniture, do a lot of things that they really barely have extra cash to be paying toward their principal. All right, so like in year one, like I said, most of your payment goes towards your interest, so only a small portion will go towards your principal, which will build in you equity. Then when we fast forward it to like 15 years, between 15 years and 30 years, you must have paid a lot of interest. So if you go and look at your statement, you're going to see that the principal during that 30 years, you're paying way more towards your principal between 15 to 30 years rather than more towards your interest during that time. Okay, so if you buy your house and you're patient enough to stay in it for 15 years, you start actually seeing a lot of your payments go towards your principal instead. So that is when you actually start seeing a lot of acceleration towards your equity during those last years of your mortgage, not during the first few years. Okay, so let's take an example here. Imagine you get a 30-year loan for 6% for a house worth 300k. Okay, so your monthly payment, the first principal is going to be something like 300 after you pay your mortgage, and then maybe 30 years old, the number 360 loan remaining, you're going to see something like 1800. If you calculate it, that's a lot of money that is going to be going toward it. But yes, that's almost the end of your mortgage. So you've already paid the interest down and you only have the principal left to. That's why most of your money go towards your principal toward the end of your mortgage. Okay, then number 3 is another way you can actually start seeing your equity is down payments. So when you make those down payments, when you go to buy a house and you make those down payments, depending on how much you're actually going to be putting as your down payment, that gives you immediate equity. So let's say for conventional loans, you have up to 20% of your down payment. That 20% down payment automatically gives you equity in that house. If you only pay 3%, that 3% gives you equity in that house. So regardless of what percentage of your mortgage, the loan term the loan you pay, you are actually going to start building equity immediately when you do a down payment. So let's say there's 3 different people and all of them have different monies at the beginning. So one person for a 300k house actually just only have 3%, and that 3% equates to 9% equity and 9,000. Okay, so they have equity in that house for 9,000 when they make that 3% down payment. So someone else say, oh well, I have a little bit of money and I don't just want to stack it away, I want to put it on my house. So if they make that 5% on a 300,000 house, they are actually going to end up paying 15,000. So immediately before they even step into the house, they are actually going to be having 15,000 equity in that house. And then you have the third person who has up to the 20%. That means it puts them at a 60,000, right, down payment. So if they make up to that 60,000 down payment, that means they already have that much equity in that house immediately. So that's another way of when you actually start seeing your equity grow. Okay, so don't forget that the more money you have, the more you can actually put down. And if you have a lot of money and you say, I really don't want to put all this money toward my down payment, that's okay. But just know that if you want to grow your equity fast, you have to put the money quickly. All right. Another way that you're actually going to see when do you start building equity is when your home starts appreciating. most markets actually appreciate. Okay, so most homes will win big as time goes on and the market is growing. Okay, so your home most likely will not stay in the same value as you just bought it. As days go by, it's going to grow if the market doesn't go down. But if the market keep appreciating, your home value equally keeps appreciating. Okay, so that's why you're going to be able to see your equity grow, because the house price is equally rising, and the more you pay down their principal, the more you're going to be having that equity even without repair. But you should repair your house just in case. Okay, just in case you want to have way more equity. Then if I'm just staying in the house and I don't want to do any repairs, stuff can happen. Okay, and after some time that house is going to start dropping in value. But make sure that you continuously take care of the house, continuously make some nice repairs and nice upgrades into your house. That way you are able to build more equity faster. All right, so the number 5 is home improvements. So that's another way people can actually build their equity. So, or when you actually start seeing your equity growing. So if you make a lot of home improvements on your houses or your home, then that is equally going to help you. It doesn't mean that if I make a 10,000 home improvement, is automatically going to give me a 10,000 equity in my house, but that is going to count towards your equity. Okay, and remember that not all upgrades can increase the value of your house, but some will. Stuff like remodeling your kitchen from an old model to a more advanced model can help with growing or you seeing more equity in the long run. Your bedroom upgrades as well, finishing your basement. If you actually bought a house with an unfinished basement, that equally increases your home value. All right, adding a deck or patio, or even just getting a new one done. You know, if you bought the house with one, and you can equally remodel it to a new one, or if you bought a home without one at all, you can put one to increase the value of your house. And that equally some energy efficiency windows that can actually help you. New roofs as well. If you have if your exterior wasn't the best, you can increase the home value by modifying your exterior. Okay, you can put fresh improvements, very nice, maybe a little nice touch, a little nice design on the exterior of your home. And like I said, that alone, all those different home improvements is going to help you in the long run, and you're going to see your equity grow with it. All right, like I said, don't think that if you put 10,000 into your equity, that's what you're going to be getting at the end of the day. It's not necessarily so, but whatever you upgrade in the long run, let's just say you decide after all these nice upgrades, after some time, that you want to sell, those are equally going to count towards your equity, because of course that's not the same way you bought the house. So whoever is coming to buy that house has to equally understand that, oh, these are new things, this increases the value. Say they're going to pay high. As days go by, your home is going to keep growing with those beautiful home improvements in it. Okay, and return on investment is going to vary from person to person and from different home improvements to another. So don't expect to have the same return on investment after you make this home upgrades like the next person. Or don't think that if I remodel my kitchen, is going to give me the same return on investment that on if I were able to remodel my bedrooms or maybe finish my basement. They are not going to be the same, so keep that in mind. Okay, And another point I want to touch here is going to be point number 5. I get five or six, which is where your home is located matters. So how a location affects your equity, okay, the growth of your equity. So there are some markets that are actually growing faster than others. There's some that are slow, and there's some that can go up and go down in no time. So if you're living in a market where the home prices appreciate faster, let's say in places like Florida, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Arizona, then you could expect your equity to grow fast, because their markets actually appreciate quite fast than those in the Midwest, those in some of the northern states. Okay, their markets actually fluctuate and is a little slower as compared to those in these fast home markets. Okay, and like I said, there are some markets that can have a dramatic swing, places like California, places like New York, Nevada. So if you have a home here, this could actually affect your home equity, how it grows, okay, when you actually start seeing it grow, because your markets are not the same. So you don't expect somebody in the Midwest to have the same home equity with whoever is in Florida or maybe Texas. That's two different places, and the market trends are not the same. So don't expect, or if we have the same house value, or we bought the house almost the same price, all of us are going to have our equity grow at the same rate. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, the number seven for this video is going to be how much equity you build by year. So remember that during the first few years, you're not going to be having the same equity as the later years of your mortgage. So the very first year, you're going to see very little go towards your principal. Most is going to actually go towards your interest, and equity will only appreciate as time goes by. Okay, so you could be making an average of 5 to 20k in equity gain during your first year. All right, depending on your market, keep that in mind. So let's fast forward to maybe 3 years into you owning this house. You could actually see a slight change in your payments towards your principal, but at this time, most of your payments are still going to be going towards your interest, but it's going to have a slight change in your principal. So let's say year 1 you were paying 300 towards your principal. Maybe by year 3 you should be paying like 350 or 400 depending. Okay, but there's going to be that slight change in how much you're going to be paying towards your principal around the third year. Remember that your equity compounds, so appreciation is going to help. As your house appreciates, you're going to keep having this compounding interest on your equity. Okay, so that could put you somewhere between 15k to about 45k equity gain during the third year of you owning your house. Around the 5th year, you actually start seeing your principal go down. So the more your principal go down, the more you're going to be growing your equity. Okay, so principal payments are noticeably higher, and many homeowners are going to be gaining somewhere between 50 to 100k during their 5th year in that house, or 5th year of owning that house, and depending on what market you are in. All right, and 10 years into this is a decade we are talking about. So you've entered your equity growth phase by 10 years, provided you're making all your monthly payments. You know, some people skip their monthly payments and they don't pay a lot, or provided you're making extra payment. But even if you don't make extra payments, you're paying consistently every month, then 10 years into this, you actually might enter your equity growth phase, which is your principal going down plus appreciation over the years combined. You may be able to gain somewhere between 100k to 200k by the 10th year of you owning that mortgage. And by 20 years, oh my god, you're paying more towards your principal than your interest. So that means you have rapid equity growth. So this is when a lot of people really realize that their equity is growing, because you're paying less toward the interest. In fact, you must have paid a lot of interest during those first years. So whatever interest you're going to be paying is way less than what is going to be going towards your equity at this point. So at this 20-year period, you could be having equity between somewhere 200k to 400k. Remember, how much you bought your home equally matters, where your home is located equally matters, but this is just a range that people could actually see. Are there people that could see lesser equity? Of course. Are there people that could see way more equity than 400k I just mentioned? Absolutely. So keep that in mind. It's not a one size fit all. I'm just giving you a range, and remember, we're on a 300k home, okay? And the 30-year into this mortgage, provided you only did a 30-year. And if you did a 15-year mortgage, you must have been done by 15 years, okay? But if you did a 30-year mortgage, then that's the last year you actually paying for mortgage. That means 30 years and the last payment, you own 100% equity. So if your equity increases, your home value grows, maybe you can be selling your house, maybe 600, depending on where it is, but you own 100% equity. So if you decide to sell that house, you have all the equity. You don't pay in the bank, you own the house. You said, we are done with you, Mr. Lender, I am now the owner of this house. So you have full control, okay? So that's 30 years into you actually seeing your equity grow from the first year to the last year in which you end up finishing up your house. So your equity journey might be slow from the first months, the first few years, but it will explode later. So if you're wondering, oh, why am I not seeing it? It's because you just started the house, you just started paying for the mortgage. So be patient. As time goes on, you're actually going to see it grow. All right, the number 8 point we're going to be talking about is how your loan type affects your equity. So whatever loan type you actually have is going to affect how your equity grow, when you're seeing it increase, okay? So for those who have FHA loans, they most likely will have a lower payment as compared to someone who has a conventional loan. And to somebody who doesn't even end up paying a down payment like VA loans, we're going to be talking about that. So let's talk about the FHA. So for FHA loans, they have low down payments. Their equity is going to grow slower from the beginning, and mortgage insurance most likely will keep their payments higher, and they can refinance later if they really want to grow their equity faster, because refinancing can help them move from an FHA loan to a conventional loan. And equally, that can help them remove the mortgage insurance that is keeping their payments way high, okay? Now let's talk about a VA loan. For VA loans, they really don't need a down payment. There's a zero down payment for VA loans, and they can actually choose to put down payments if they have the money and if they are willing to. All right, that starts building their equity, but let's assume they don't. They are going to build equity very slow at the very start, but with no mortgage insurance in adding up their monthly payments, they can actually have a lower cost long term. All right, so they're not going to be paying for PMI or the mortgage insurance. So that means they can, if they have that money, they can put it toward their monthly payment, add it to, if I'm paying 1,500, and let's just assume that whoever is paying for PMI or mortgage insurance have an additional 150, and they have the additional 150, they can use their money to add up to pay extra. Or even if they don't pay extra, they are not really going to feel the pain like people that have high monthly payment and their equity is still growing slower. Now let's talk about the conventional loan that a lot of people go for. So when it comes to the conventional loan, you can pay between 3% to 20%. So there is down payment when it comes to conventional loan. So for those of us that are going to go out there to buy our homes for the first time, remember that if you go for a conventional loan, you're going to be paying down payment, okay? And down payment ranges between 3 to 20%. So if you only have 3%, that's still fine. 4%, whatever percentage you are able to come up with, you just have to discuss it with your lender. And most lenders are quite understanding, so they are going to work with you. But remember, it doesn't matter if you're going with conventional, you must put some down payment, okay? So with these down payments, they have higher equities. Their equity grow quicker, okay, because they have put down payment. So that means by the time they're actually going into, and especially for somebody that ends up paying 20% of their payments, right, 20% down payment, that's a lot of equity from the start. So that means for somebody that pays 3, or somebody with an FHA that doesn't have up to 20%, they are going to be having way more equity than them. So keep that in mind, all right? And another thing that you should keep in mind is if you end up doing a 15-year or a 30-year loan term, you will be able to build your equity faster if you choose a 15-year loan term. But if you can't afford a 15-year loan term, you can choose to do a 30-year. That way you can build your equity, but you're just going to see it grow slower, okay? You're still going to see it grow. It's just going to be at a slower rate as compared to somebody that chooses a 15-year term, all right? So but keep in mind that when you have a 15-year term, you're going to be paying high monthly payments, low interest rates, and huge principal reduction every month. So the higher your payments, which is going to be because you have a shorter loan, all right? So you have to pay it up quick for you to be able to finish at the 15-year. That's why you're going to be making higher payments, okay? So let's do a little recap on this video to when do you actually start seeing your equity grow, all right? Immediately when you pay your very first payment as your mortgage when you own a house. Equally, when you make those down payments, you're equally going to see an instant change, okay? Instant equity building when you make those down payments. If you have an FHA or a conventional loan, and even if you have a VA loan and choose to make a down payment, you can actually equally see equity grow from the very beginning. And secondly, you're going to see a build up as your home appreciates and grows slowly. So as years pass by, you're actually going to see your equity grow slowly. You just have to be patient enough, or you can equally add extra payments every month to lower your principal. That way you can actually see your equity grow quicker, all right? So we have come to the end of this video. Remember, my videos are for educational purposes only. Please do your own research and ask all the people that can give you necessary answers and are the best possible options for you out there, all right? Remember that your equity is a powerful financial tool. It can help you refinance. It can help you pay for rental property. If you want to tap into your equity for rental properties, it can pay for your college if you have children, or if you have children that you actually want to tap into your equity to pay for their college, or if you are already a homeowner and you want to go to school but you don't have the means, you can equally tap into your equity, and you can equally fund any other business, okay, renovations, or maybe retire comfortably, all right, with your home equity as well. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel, like, share, and turn on your notifications bells. As always, stay safe and healthy. Until next time.